If you would like to know how to make simple homemade apple pie, then you're in the right place. But first, let's roll the introduction. Now you at home know exactly what we're baking today. We're making a nice apple pie. It's nearly autumn and it's perfect for this time of year. To start with, I'm going to show you the ingredients on how to make a nice shortcrust pastry, and then later on in the video I'm going to show you all the ingredients on how to make the filling. So first, let's crack on with the pastry. The ingredients you're going to need to make the pastry is as follows. In this bowl I have got 350 grams of plain flour. In this bowl I have got 226 grams of unsalted butter, and this is super chilled. In this bowl I have got 2 egg yolks. You don't need me to show you how to separate an egg white from a yolk. I've covered that in loads of other previous videos. So there we go. In my little pot I've got 1 tablespoon of salt, 1 lemon, and a cup full of super chilled water. And that's all you need to make pastry. And don't worry party peeps, if you miss any of the ingredients during this video, I'm going to list them all in the description down below. Now let's make this stuff. So to start with, in our bowl we're going to go in with our plain flour, and we're going to go on in with all the butter. Now we've got to rub this together to make breadcrumbs. So what you want to do is get your hands in, get dirty, pick up the flour and the butter and just squeeze it and tip it back. What will happen is the butter will start to melt and it will just make nice breadcrumbs really. And you want to continue doing this until you've got breadcrumbs. And there we go, there is my rough golden breadcrumbs. Now it doesn't matter if you've got big lumps of butter like that in it. Later on, we're going to knead it all together anyway, so it all gets smushed in. Now you want to go in with your salt, and you want to get your lemon and a grater, and what you want to do is grate just half of the lemon rind into it. And there we go, there's our lemon rind and our salt in the bowl. Now don't throw the lemon away because we're going to need it for later on. Now with your hands, just give that a gentle little mix together. Then next you want to make a little well in the middle of your breadcrumbs and get your 2 egg yolks and whop them straight in. Next you want to go in with about 6 tablespoons of your water. And now your 6 tablespoons and your 2 egg yolks are in the bowl, it's time to bring it into a dough ball. And the easiest way to do that is with a fork. So get your fork in and just give it a mix about until it forms a rough ball. Now this is what you should be left with. It's a little bit sticky, but this is why you add just a little bit of water at a time. Start off with 6 tablespoons. If you find your dough is still too dry, add more. You can always add more, it's very hard to take away. But this is what you're looking for. Slightly sticky, but what we're going to do is just give it a little knead for about 30 seconds, just to build the gluten up slightly. And there we go. That is our dough, just giving it a gentle little knead just to bring it all together. You can tell when your dough's good, because when you push it down, it doesn't crack, and that is what you're looking for. If it's too dry, it will crack out everywhere. It'll be real lucky. So what I'm going to do is ball it back up, get it into some cling film, and get it in the fridge to leave it to rest for about an hour, and that will firm up all the butter. It is now the next day. Why is that? Well, it was too late when I finished filming the first day and I had to make dinner. So anyway, let's crack on with the ingredients for the filling. And to start with, it's the apples. Here I have 12 Pink Lady apples. And if you're anything like me and you want to know what weight is it, it's 690 grams. Now, usually people use Granny Smiths or brambly apples, but I find with them, when you eat them, it makes your face go like, ooh, it's too sharp. These are a lot more delicious, but you can use any apples that you want. You don't have to use Pink Ladies. Next off, in this bowl I have got 56 grams of butter. In this bowl I have got 135 grams of sugar, In my little pot, I've got 1/4 teaspoon of nutmeg. In this little pot, I've got 1/2 teaspoon of cinnamon. In this little pot, I have got 1 teaspoon of corn flour, or in America they call it cornstarch. And lastly, I've got my leftover lemon. Easy as that. Now you will need some specialist equipment to do this filling, so let's run through them. I've got a grater for the apples. You can use a knife, whatever you want. I like to use one of these. I've got my juicer. You don't need to have one of these. I find it easier. You can just use a cup, a grater, which everyone should have, and a big boy bowl. Now let's crack to with the most boring job. And here we are at quite possibly the most boring job you're going to be doing, and that is peeling all 12 of these apples. Let's crack to it. What a mammoth job that was. But there we go, 12 peeled apples. But now it's time to dice them. So get yourself a sharp knife and just go as close to the core as what you think is possible. Cut it down, turn your apple 90 degrees, same again, same again, same again. You shouldn't it up with a little stub like that. Now, it doesn't matter what size you want really, you can chuck them in like that. I just like to cut them up into little nice bite-sized pieces, just like that, probably about centimetre cubed. Now continue doing that until all your apples are done really. And there we go, there is our 12 apples all cut up into nice little pieces. Now if yours are anything like mine, they're starting to go brown. But don't worry, that's normal. We're going to sort that with our leftover lemon. What we're going to do is grate the remainder of this rind into the bowl. And now the peel's off, it's time to get the juice out. So we'll cut the lemon in half and just juice half a lemon. If you don't have a juicer, just squeeze it directly in, picking out any pips if there is. But if you've got a juicer, use it. Now with the leftover lemon half that you've got, don't just throw it away. What a waste. Squeeze the juice out of it. You can have it in tea, you can have it in a drink, whatever you want. Don't waste it. Now with the lemon juice that you've collected from half of it, just tip it over the apples. And now it's time to pimp these apples up to the max. Get your sugar and whop the whole lot straight in. Get your cinnamon, whop it. And your nutmeg, bosh, straight in. Now, get your hands in. You want to scoop this all around, making sure that all the apples are covered in that sugary, cinnamony, nutmeggy mixture. And now it's time to get these apples cooking. So come with me over to the cooker. Come on. You have joined me over at my station where I cook. Now what you want to do is get yourself a saucepan with a lid. Very important. And what you want to do is get your butter and whop it straight in. You want to get the gas on to a low setting and make sure that the butter all melts. And there we go, the butter is all melted and it's starting to bubble away quite happily. Now's the time to go in with all of your apples. Chip the whole lot straight in. Now you want to turn the gas up to medium high and you want to give this about 2 to 3 minutes on a high heat. This will release all the water from the apples. It's been about 3 minutes and have a look at all that water that's come out. Now what you want to do is turn it down to the lowest setting, pop your lid on and just leave it for about 6 to 8 minutes. This will really soften the apples down and it will thicken up the sauce a little. Have a look at that. Doesn't that look good? And it smells absolutely amazing. Really Christmassy. Now, what we want to do, get our boxing gloves on. Ush, ush. Get your pan and pop it into a colander with a bowl underneath. What we're doing is separating the liquid from the apples. There we go. That is all the liquids from the apples, and there's our apples just chilling out, cooling down. Now, do not throw this stuff away. This stuff is liquid gold. what we're going to do is we're going to pop it back into our saucepan and heat it up on a high temperature until it thickens up and we'll make a caramel. So come with me. You have joined me back over at the cooking station. Now what you want to do is get the gas on to medium high, and what you want to do is let this bubble away and it will thicken all of this up. The water will evaporate and it will turn into a real nice smooth caramel. There we go. My sauce has been chuffing away for about 3 to 4 minutes, and as you can see it's thickened up and it's got nice and dark. Now what you want to do is get your boxing gloves on and tip this all over the apples. Look at that. And now your toffee sauce is in there, just give it a little stir around, coating every piece of the apple with the toffee sauce. Look at that, doesn't that look proper good? Now you want to leave this to cool down until it's completely cold. And now it's time to roll out the pastry while our apples are cooling down. Now we're going to be blind baking this pastry. I know what you're thinking, Simon, that's going to be too difficult. Well, I'm going to show you how to do it nice and easy. But first of all, go get your ovens on. Gas mark 6 or 200 degrees. Get it on. Before we get to the blind baking, we need to sort our pastry out and get it into our pie dish. This is a 24cm pie dish. It's not very deep, but you can use any pie dish you want. Now, with the dough, just cut it in half. Put half out and wrap this other half up and pop it back in the fridge for later on. And now this is the half of the dough that we'll be using. But first of all, we need to dust our workbench with some plain flour. And really dust it. You do not want this stuff to stick. Dust the counter, dust the dough, dust your rolling pin, dust yourself, who cares? Just make sure that it's proper dusted. And now it's all seriously dusted everywhere, it's time to roll it out. So to start with, go in the middle and push down and turn it. Push it down, and go to the edge, go to the edge. If you find that your rolling pin's sticking, just get some of it with the flour and dust your rolling pin. There's nothing worse than having a sticky dough. Turn it over and roll it out. What we want to do is roll this out to a nice big square about as thick as a pound coin. Now before I was rudely interrupted by a big old wasp that flew in, I've just picked my pastry up and I've just layered it into the dish. All I'm doing is I'm just lifting it up, just making sure that it's all patted down into the corners. Now as you can see, there's quite a lot of overhang on it and we don't need that much. So what I'm going to do is just roughly take it out, but still leaving a bit of overhang. And there we go, there's my overhang all chopped off. Now with a fork, what I'm going to do is just go along and punch a few holes in the bottom. And now it's time for the blind baking. I actually have some of these ceramic beans. And what this does is it keeps the dough pushed down while it cooks so it doesn't puff up and rise everywhere. Now, if you don't have these, do not panic. You can use literally any old dried stuff, dried rice, dried chickpeas, dried lentils, whatever you've got really. Now here's the secret. Get some parchment paper and literally just screw it up. And then when you take it out, it's got all these little creases in it and it really is easy to fold it into your dough. Now, with your ceramic balls or your rice or whatever you've got, just tip the whole lot in, and there we go. There is our pastry in our tin with all these ceramic balls on, and it's ready for blind baking. Now what you want to do is whop this straight in the oven for about 15 minutes, and then we'll take the balls out and we'll cook it for a further 8. Let's get it in. Now while that's baking, it's time to finish off the apples. They should have nicely cooled down by now. So get your corn flour that should be left over and just sprinkle it all over the apples. Now with a spatula, just stir it all in. And there we go, my 15-minute timer's gone off and I've taken the ballies out. As you can see, it's still raw in the middle, but it's not puffed up and it's starting to cook around the outside. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to whack just a little bit of foil around the edge, just to stop it from burning basically. Then I'm going to pop it back in the oven for another 8 minutes, and then that should be bone dry. And there we go, there is our blind baking all done. The bottom is just about cooked, the edges are just about cooked also. Now we want to leave this to cool down for about 10-15 minutes, and then we can finish off making the pie. It's been about 10 minutes now and the pastry is nicely cooled down. Now it's time to fill it with our apples. So here we go. Just tip the whole lot straight in. You just want to spread this out, giving it a little pat down and making it nice and level. But we're not done just yet. Now we're going to try and make some nice lattice work over the top. And for that, we need to get our other half of the pastry out of the fridge. You guessed it, we've got to dust the living bejesus out of this workbench and then roll it out. Here we go. That is our remaining pastry rolled out. Now, to do this, I always use the back of my knife and I just score out roughly what I want to do. And what I want to do is make 10 sort of equal strips. So I've marked it out and there we go. There is my 10 roughly equal strips. It doesn't really matter. Now what you want to do is get the first 5 and just put them onto your pastry. And there we go. That is our first 5 strips lovingly put on the pastry. Now what we want to do is fold every other one up to about halfway. You then get your next strip, pop it on and fold them back over, creating a little crisscross sort of pattern. How nice does that look? And then when you're going up, you just want to take these 2, fold them back, get your next strip, place it on, fold them back over. Then you take that strip, that strip, that strip, place your next one on, fold them back over. Now continue doing this until it's all done. And there we go. How good does that look? Now I've got some little bit of overhang of pastry left over. So what I'm going to do with the back of my knife, I'm just going to tuck it under the pastry that I've already got in. Now we'll just neaten all the edges up. And there we go. How good does that look? Now the lattice work may not be perfect, but this baking show isn't about perfection. It's about making stuff tasty and getting it into our tums. Now before I egg wash it, got to put the ovens back on. Gas mark 6 or 200 degrees. Get it on and then we egg wash it. Now while our ovens are heating up, gas mark 6 or 200 degrees, it's time to egg wash this bad boy. So get an egg and a cup, crack the egg in. Now with a fork, you want to whisk it like mad for a minute or 2. What this will do is this will make it much more easier to wash. If you just give it a couple of stirs, you'll just get this like real gunky stuff and that will just make it egg wash look ugh. So just give it a mix up for a couple of minutes so it's nice and runny. And there we go, the egg is all mixed up. Now, using a pastry brush, or if you've got an old makeup brush or whatever sort of brush you've got lying about the house, just get it and just go over the top of all the lattice work, all down the sides. Make sure you get into all the cracks, because what you don't want to do is once this is cooked, you've got a nice pale patch, you know, a bit like a t-shirt tan line. So just spend a couple of minutes making sure you get all the egg wash into all the nooks and crannies. And there we go, it is all egg wash. Now here's just a little something extra just to make your apple pie really pop. Get some granulated sugar. The reason why I use granulated for this is so that it doesn't melt quite like caster does. And just get a pinch, just literally go over the top of your apple pie, just all in the little nooks and crannies everywhere. This will give it a lovely sheen and make that pastry taste extra sweet. Now once you've done this, pop it in the oven for about 30 minutes, Just keep an eye on it, making sure the edges don't burn. If they do start to go brown, just pop it in tin foil around it. The timer's gone off and here it is out the oven. I'll put it in there for a little bit longer, 40 minutes in total, but just keep an eye on yours. Yours might vary. And have a look at that. Doesn't that look good? And it smells amazing. Now, we know this looks good, but does it taste good? Let's cut into it and find out. Now this is either going to be a big win or a big fail, because I hate getting this out of a pie dish. You know what? I'm pretty pleased with the way that come out. Normally I'm murder at getting stuff out of dishes, but that looks pretty good. Now I want to know in the comment section down below, do you like yours with ice cream or do you like yours with custard? Me, I like my apple pie with custard, but everyone's different. Now, let's have a taste test of this thing. Proper tasty. The apples, they're soft, but they've still got a nice crunch to them. The pastry is super flaky and really sweet. I'll tell you what, that is a winner Sunday dinner. Thank you so much for taking the time out to watch my video. If you've enjoyed it, leave a thumbs up, leave a comment, and until next time, peace out.